Praxoula Antoniadou, it is my very pleasure to have you at the Institute for Cultural Diplomacy and to be able to do an interview, a private interview with you. Thank you very much for your time.
It's my honor that you have taken interest in our views.
Thank you very much for joining us at the conference also. And well, let's start. I have some questions prepared for you. First of all, I know you have very much experience as in public service. You have been Minister of Tourism and Commerce, and now you are running for the presidency of Cyprus, which I wish you very much luck in your path. The question I have for you is, what would you say is the main impact of tourism in terms of cultural diplomacy, now that you have experience and now that you are probably making more policies? What do you think is the role and the impact of tourism and cultural tourism in cultural diplomacy?
Yes, this is a very crucial question, Maria. As you may know, tourism has been a dominant sector of economic growth in Cyprus, mostly because we have this competitive advantage of the sun, the weather, and the sea. I mean, the gift from God and nature. Of course, one cannot only rely on the gifts of nature. One has to preserve these gifts and build on them. And though saying the word build, we have done some more construction than we should have had. So in that sense, we may have affected the environment to some extent, but not to any destructive extent. But what has kept tourism going throughout, and you know, we have the economic crisis in Cyprus, and it seems that tourism is the only sector that has sustained. It's the only sector that has performed positively this time, because we have the competitive advantage and we have developed it in the sense that we have added to the weather special interest tourism, let's say that to bring forward the history of the country. We have a lot of sites of historical interest in Cyprus, because history in Cyprus starts from the Neolithic times, reaching the Romans, and then later our European partners who had been through the island. And on top of that, now we were also trying to see how we can combine tourism to Cyprus with tourism to the area as a whole, because you know, Cyprus is an island. It costs to travel. There is a high transportation cost to travel to Cyprus. Let's say if a French wants to travel, it's easier to travel to Germany, to Italy. To Cyprus, it takes an additional cost. So we are trying to promote now tourism to Cyprus as part of a combined package. Let's say to attract visitors from faraway countries, like visitors from Latin America or from the States or from China or from Russia, so that they would come and visit many countries at the same time, whether this will be Greece plus Cyprus plus Israel plus Egypt. And if we manage to solve the political problem of the island, then we could be attracting tourists who would like to visit Greece, Cyprus, Turkey, Israel and Egypt. So you need a vision which can create sustainability in the area. And of course, Cyprus being a small community, it is an open economy and a relatively open community. So tourism has helped the Cypriots to open up to new cultures, though of course, because of our history of, let's say, visits from our European partners. We used to be a British colony before independence. Before the British, we had the Ottomans. Before the Ottomans, we had the Venetians. Before the Venetians, we had the Lusinians. Then before that, we had the Crusaders. So Cypriots were exposed let's say, to different cultures. And in that sense, perhaps our history has prepared us for being able to communicate with all the visitors and being able to offer hospitality to them. So perhaps a long history has helped us to sustain this valuable sector, which is now providing growth to our economy. So communication between different peoples helps also the economy.
Of course, it's a super important part of your cultural heritage. And with the answer you just gave me, just answer my second question, which was about the effort to make a strategy, a common strategy to strengthen the links in a non-governmental way through tourism, because you were just mentioning how you want tourism to be not only to Cyprus but to the whole area. So do you think this is also a way to strengthen the relations between government and people to people in the area?
Certainly, and now you are touching upon politics, not just economy, and about how to solve political problems. You know, Maria, I belong to a team of 3 lady economists who the 3 of us have done studies. It's a bicommunal group of Greek Cypriot, a Turkish Cypriot, and a British 3 ladies who did studies which have quantified the economic benefits of a solution in Cyprus, a solution that will be reunifying the island. And in quantifying the economic benefits, we have addressed the sector of tourism. And we said that if the country reunifies, first of all, the tourism which will be visiting Cyprus will be for the whole of Cyprus, not just for one half or the other half of Cyprus. So all the Cypriots will be benefiting. And then if the political problem resolves, then relations with Turkey can normalize. So we could even be receiving tourists from Turkey. Why should Turks be providing their custom, let's say, to the Greek islands? Why should they be visiting the Greek islands in Germany and not be visiting Cyprus, which is very near to them? Of course, this requires a vision and a political will to solve the problems that lie ahead and move beyond them in a way that can create mutual political and economic benefits for all parties concerned. And then this challenge should also be addressed to Israel and the Arab countries. If also Israel and the Arab countries manage to solve the problems that they have between them, then they can also capitalize on common tourism, and then we can all be attracting tourism from long, faraway countries to the whole area of the Eastern Mediterranean.
Okay, thank you very much. Now you have mentioned a very important thing, which are the tools that you can use in order to achieve this political, economical, and cultural understanding. The next question I wanted to ask you was more about your role as a woman in your country, as a political woman, as a public servant in your country. Since you're running now for the presidency of your country and you have had a lot of experience in public sector and private sector also, I wanted to know if you have faced throughout your career specific challenges related to a gender fact or for the fact that you are a woman in politics, in public service. How do you think?
Unfortunately, yes, I have faced challenges. I have to note, however, that first of all, let's say the law in Cyprus is such that provides for equality throughout. Anyway, we are a member of the European Union and we have harmonized with all the European Union acquis. And as far as the family goes, I would say that more or less families give equal opportunities to all their children, especially when it comes to education. And we have, I think, more women graduates from universities than we have men. But when it comes to going out to work, again, at the first level entrance, you have a greater number of women being hired rather than men. But as you go up the hierarchy, the proportion of women is lower. So it's there where culture comes in, domestic culture. Don't forget that the people who are deciding are people higher in the hierarchy, which are older men, usually, with their own prejudices. And you must also know that women can affect change in the sense that they come with a different way of thinking, which, if taken in combination with the thinking of the men, can produce wise decisions. I mean, it's the composition of thoughts and views that produces a better result, not one of the view against the other. So yes, equality in professional life is not there yet, though things are proceeding because we have a mass of women who, as I have said, are already highly educated, and as they move up, then we have a critical mass of professionals from which the new leaders in business will be chosen. So in professional life, it's getting better, but in politics, it's terrible. Because it's in politics that you can make a difference that can affect the lives of everybody, the fate of the country, the decision whether you are going to solve the political problem and reunite the country, whether you can convince Turkey to take its occupation troops and go, or whether we will stay divided. And somehow there is resistance to change. And first of all, we have to convince political parties to give equal opportunities to their female members and allow able female members to contest equally in election campaigns. And you also have to educate voters to trust women, because the mass media, this is another factor, so far only promote the view of men deciding about the future of the country. So people have to start getting used to images of women discussing and deciding about the future of a country together with their male colleagues. So it's a hard struggle, but in times of difficulty, and now in Cyprus we do have times of difficulty, beyond the political problem which has been there for at least 40 years, and we need to solve it because the lives of two generations have already gone by. Cyprus belongs to all the Cypriots, both Greek Cypriots and Turkish Cypriots, and we need to solve the problem, reunify the country, and normalize our relations with the neighbors, especially now that energy is becoming a dominant factor in the area of the Eastern Mediterranean, not just tourism. Israel, Lebanon, Cyprus, Greece, Egypt are all endowed with hydrocarbons. So if we are all going to develop this treasure that nature and God have given us in a peaceful way and not throw up, and not lead the area to eruption again and warfare, we need to resolve the political problems of the past so that there can be cooperation with our neighbors in a mutually beneficial way. And in this, I would like to remind us of the example of Europe, which after the Second World War, the old enemies, France and Germany, decided to give hands to build a new world based on economic cooperation and respect of different cultures. And I think the Nobel Prize that has now been given to the European Union should be showing the way to all of us as to how old enemies can become new friends and allies to their own mutual benefit.
Well, thank you very much, Ms. Antoniadou. It was a real pleasure having this interview with you. Thank you very much for taking the time. Thank you very much for joining us at the conference.
Thank you.
And I wish you the best of luck with your path in politics, in the presidency, in your cultural area, which I heard you are also a singer. So I wish you the best of lucks, and thank you very much for being here with us.
And I would really like to thank the Institute of Cultural Diplomacy for inviting me here.
Okay,
Thank you,
it's
Maria.
also a pleasure.
Thank you for this
Thank you.
opportunity.